Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiv Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhakta Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, today we are starting new chapter, chapter 26, entitled Wonderful Krishna, text number 1 onwards. So yesterday we discussed how Krishna saved all the Brajvasis from the wrath of Indra by lifting Govardhan hill, and in the process he also smashed the pride of Indra. He was also with the Brajvasis for 7 days, 7 nights. Everybody under the Govardhan hill, and they just enjoyed it. So when all the Brajvasis came back to their homes, now they were discussing, who is this Krishna? Shri Shukavacha evam vidhani karmani gopa krishnasya vikshate atat veera vidah prochu sambhyetya subhismita. Shukdev Goswami said, the cowherd men were astonished when they saw Krishna's activities, such as lifting Govardhan hill. Unable to understand his transcendental potency, they approached Nanda Maharaj and spoke as follows. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this verse as follows. During Lord Krishna's pastimes of lifting Sri Govardhan hill, the cowherd men simply enjoyed the spiritual bliss of the Lord's activities without analyzing them. But afterwards, when they had returned to their homes, perplexity arose within their hearts. Thus they thought, now we have directly seen child Krishna lifting Govardhan hill, and we remember how he killed Putna and other demons, extinguished the forest fire, and so on. At that time, we thought that these extraordinary acts occurred because of a benediction from the Brahmins or because of Nanda Maharaj's great fortune, or that perhaps this boy had achieved the mercy of Lord Narayan and was thus empowered by him. So this was the first time they saw it themselves, first-hand experience of Krishna's power. But further it is said, but all these presumptions are false, because an ordinary 7-year-old boy could never hold up the king of mountains for 7 whole days. Krishna is not a human being. He must be the Supreme Lord himself. So they are talking among themselves. But on the other hand, child Krishna loves it when we coddle him, and he becomes morose when we, his uncles and well-wishers, simply worldly men, do not give him attention. He appears to become hungry and thirsty, and he steals yogurt. I mean, how can we assume he is Narayan? He steals yogurt and milk, sometimes plays tricks, tells lies. He always tells lies, chatters childishly and tends the calves. If he is actually the Supreme Lord, why would he do these things? Then don't they indicate that he's an ordinary human child? Now they are saying we are totally unable to establish the truth of his identity. Therefore, let us go and inquire from the highly intelligent king of Raj, Nanda Maharaj, and he shall free us from our doubts. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the cowherd men thus made up their minds, and then they entered Nanda Maharaj's great assembly hall and questioned him as described in the following verse. So this great assembly hall in Nandagaon, where we went, took darshan of Krishna Balram, Nand Baba, Yashoda Maya. So that is a place where they all went. Balakasya yadetani karmani iti adbhutani ve katham arhati aso janma gramyeshvatma jugupsitam. The cowherd men said, since this boy performed such extraordinary activities, how could he warrant a birth among worldly men like us, a birth that for him would seem contemptible? An extraordinary living being cannot avoid unpleasant circumstances, but the Supreme Controller can always make perfect arrangements for his pleasure. यह सप्तहायनो बाला करेणकेन लीलया कथम बिभ्रद गिरिवरम पुष्करम गजराडिव. How could this 7-year-old boy playfully hold up the great hill Govardhan with one hand, just as a mighty elephant holds up a lotus flower? Toke namili tyakshena putanaya mahojasa pita stana sah prana kale neva vyastano. As a mere infant who had hardly yet opened his eyes, he drank the breast milk of the powerful demoness Putna and then sucked out her very life air as well, just as the force of time sucks out the youth of one's body. The word Vaya in this verse indicates youth or lifespan in general. With irresistible power, time takes away our life. And that time is actually Lord Krishna himself. Thus, in the case of the powerful witch Putana, Lord Krishna accelerated the time process and within an instant withdrew the duration of her life. Here the cowherd men mean to say, how could a mere infant who could barely open his eyes so easily kill a very powerful demoness? This is all wonderful pastimes of Krishna, but they were all the cowherd men, they were confused. Who is this boy? Hinvato adha shayanasya masyasya charnaudak ano apadad viparyastam rudata prapadat hatam. Once, when only 3 months old, little Krishna was crying and kicking up his feet as he lay beneath a huge cart. Then the cart fell and turned upside down simply because it was struck by the tip of his toe. So this is how he had killed the Shaktasura. Ekahayan asino riyamano vihayasa datyana yastrira vartam ahan kanta grihaturam. At the age of 1, while sitting peacefully, he was taken up into the sky by the demon Trinavarta. But baby Krishna grabbed the demon's neck, causing him great pain and thus killed him. The cowherd men who loved Krishna as an ordinary child were astonished by all these activities. A newborn infant cannot ordinarily kill a powerful witch, and one would hardly think that a 1-year-old baby could kill a demon who has kidnapped him and carried him up into the sky. But Krishna did all of these wonderful things, and the cowherd men were enhancing their love for him by remembering and discussing these pastimes. Kvachid dhayang vastanye matra bad udukhale gachan arjun yor madhye bahubhyam tavpatayat. Once his mother tied him with ropes to a mortar because she had caught him stealing butter. Then crawling on his hands, he dragged the mortar between a pair of Arjun trees and pulled them down. The two Arjun trees were old and thick, and they towered about little Krishna's courtyard. Nonetheless, they were pulled down quite easily by the naughty child. How could he do that? Vane sancharayan vatsam saramo balakaravrita antu kamam bakam dorbhyam mukto arim apatayat. Another time when Krishna was tending the calves in the forest together with Balram and the cowherd boys, the demon Bakasur came with the intention of killing Krishna. But Krishna seized this inimical demon by the mouth and tore him apart. Vatseshu vatsarupena pravishantam jigansaya hatvanya patiyatena kapithani chalilaya. Desiring to kill Krishna, the demon Vatsa disguised himself as a calf and entered among Krishna's calves. But Krishna killed the demon and using his body enjoyed the sport of knocking kapita fruits down from the trees. So this is how he killed Vatsasura. Hatva rasa badhateyam tad bandhushcha balanvitah chakre talvanam kshemam paripakva phalanvitam. Together with Lord Balram, Krishna killed the jackass demon and all his friends, thereby securing the safety of the Thalwan forest, which abounded with fully ripened palm fruits. Long, long ago, the powerful demon Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha were born of the goddess Diti. Therefore, demons are commonly called Daityas or Daityas, meaning descendants of Diti. Dhenukasura, the ass demon, terrorized the Thal forest with his friends, but Shri Krishna and Shri Balram killed them just as modern governments kill terrorists who harass innocent people. So this terrorist, Dhenukasura, was killed by Krishna Balram. And then Pralambam Ghat Yitvogram Balena Balshalina Amochad Vraj Pashun Gopa Sharani Avanitaha. After arranging for the mighty Lord Balram to kill the terrible demon Pralamba, Krishna saved Vrajas, cowherd boys and their animals from a forest fire. Ashivishataham Mahandiram Tamitva Vimadam Harkardat Rasayo Advasya Yamanam Chakre Aso Nirvishodakam. Krishna chastised the most poisonous serpent Kaliya, and after humbling him, he drove him forcibly from the lake of the Yamuna. In this way, the Lord made the water of that river free of the snake's powerful poison. Dustyajashchanuragvasmin sarvesham no vrajokasam nandate tanyasmasu tasyapi utpatikam katham utpatikaha katham. Dear Nanda, how is it that we and all other residents of Braj cannot give up our constant affection for your son? And how is it that he is so spontaneously attracted to us? The word Krishna means the all-attractive one. The residents of Vrindavan could not give up their constant love, anurag, for Lord Krishna. Their attitude toward him was not particularly theistic, but they were unsure whether he was God or not. But he attracted all their love precisely because as God, he is the all-attractive person, the supreme object of our love. The cowherd men also asked, how is it that young Krishna feels such constant love for us? In fact, the Supreme Lord loves all living beings who are eternally his children. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna dramatically declares his affection for Arjuna and urges Arjuna to reciprocate that love by surrendering to him. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his prayers to Lord Krishna states, Etad Rishi Tava Kripa Bhagwanamamapi. My Lord, you are so merciful toward me, but I am so unfortunate that love for you has not awakened within me. In this statement, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also uses the word anurag. Our misfortune is that we cannot reciprocate the anurag or loving affection that the Lord feels for us. Although we are infinitesimal and insignificant, and the Lord is infinitely attractive, somehow we do not give up our love. Somehow we do not give him our love. We must accept responsibility for this foolish decision, since to surrender to God or not is the essential expression of our free will. The Krishna consciousness movement provides an efficient, systematic program to help conditioned souls revive their original blissful consciousness, which is love of God, Krishna consciousness. The intricacies of Krishna consciousness are so wonderful that even Krishna's eternal associates, the residents of Vrindavan, are astonished by them, as shown by these verses. So this is how Krishna reciprocates love for his Brajavasis. And this is in the purport, it is said that this is our misfortune, that we don't reciprocate with Krishna with the same kind of love that he has for all of us. Krishna definitely has a love. It's just something is lacking on our part, not something. Lots of things are lacking actually. Ko saptahayano bala को महाद्रि विधारणम ततो नो जायते शंका व्रजना तत्व आत्मजैन. On the one hand, this boy is only 7 years old, and on the other, we see that he has lifted the great hill Govardhan. Therefore, O king of Raja, a doubt about your son arises within us. Shri Nanduvacha, Shriyatam me vacho gopa, veyotu shanka chavo arpake, enan kumaram uddishya gargo me yaduvacha. Nand Maharaj said, O coward man, just hear my words and let all your doubts concerning my son be gone. Some time ago, Garga Muni spoke to me as follows about this boy. Srila Sridhar Swami comments, the words previously heard from Gargacharya awakened Nand Maharaj to the truth about Krishna. And thus by Nanda's constantly remembering his activities, all thoughts about their being impossible ceased in him. Now he is instructing the cowherd men with these same words. Varnastraya kilasyasan grihanato anuyugam tanu shuklo raktastatha pita idanim krishnatam gataha. Gargamuni had said, your son Krishna appears as an incarnation in every millennium. In the past, he assumed three different colors, white, red, and yellow. And now he has appeared in a blackish color. This and the next 6 verses are taken from the 8th chapter of this canto, in which Gargamuni instructs Nand Maharaj about Nanda's son Krishna. The translations found herein for these verses are based on those of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In chapter 8, where the verses originally appear, the reader will find extensive purports by Srila Prabhupada. So they just took the translations. They didn't give the purports. Pragayam Vasudevasya kvachid jatasto atmajaha Vasudev iti Shriman abhigya samprachakshate. So these are the verses Gargamuni spoke when Nanda Maharaj asked him to do the name-giving ceremony. For many reasons, this beautiful son of yours sometimes appeared previously as a son of Vasudeva. Therefore, those who are learned sometimes call this child Vasudeva. Bahuni santi namani rupani cha sutasyate guna karmanu rupani tanyaham vedano janaha. For this son of yours, there are many forms and names according to his transcendental qualities and activities. These are known to me, but people in general do not understand them. Eshava Shreya Adhasyat Gopa Gokula Nandana Anena Sarva Durgani Yuyam Anjastarishyatha. To increase the transcendental bliss of the cowherd men of Gokul, this child will always act auspiciously. And by his grace only you will surpass all difficulties. Puranena Brajapate Sadhu Dasyu Pidita Arajake Rakshimana Jagyur Dasyuna Samedita. O Nand Maharaj, as recorded in history when there was an irregular, incapable government, Indra having been dethroned, and when honest people were being harassed and disturbed by thieves, this child appeared in order to curb the rogues and to protect the people and enable them to flourish. Ya etasvin mahabhago pritim kurvanti manava nadyo abhi bhavanti etan Vishnu paksha nivasura. So when Indra was dethroned, that was when Vamandev appeared. Krishna appeared as Vamandev. Demons cannot harm the demigods, who always have Lord Vishnu on their side. Similarly, any person or group attached to all auspicious Krishna cannot be defeated by enemies. Srila Prabhupada has especially indicated in this connection that just as Lord Krishna's associates could not be defeated by Kansa, so his modern day devotees will not be defeated by their demoniac opponents, nor will the Lord's devotees be defeated by the internal enemies, the lusty, materialistic senses. We have to just stay surrendered to Krishna, that's all. Tasmanand Kumaroyam Narayana Samo Gune Shriya Kirtya Anubhavena Tat Karmasu Navismaya. Therefore, Anand Maharaj, this child of yours is as good as Narayan. In his transcendental qualities, opulence, name, fame, and influence, he is exactly like Narayan. Thus, you should not be astonished by his activities. Nanda here reports to the cowherd men the concluding remarks of Gargamuni, who spoke at the secret birth ceremony or name-giving ceremony of Lord Krishna. Iti yadda mam samadishya garge cha svigriham gate manye narayana asyansham krishnam aklishta karinam. Nand Maharaj continued, after Garga Rishi spoke these words to me and returned home, I began to consider that Krishna, who keeps us free from trouble, is actually an expansion of Lord Narayan. Iti nandavacha shrutva garga geetam rajokasaha mudita nandam anarchuhu Krishnam Chagata Vismaya. Having heard Nanda Maharaj relate the statements of Gargamuni, the residents of Vrindavan became enlightened. Their perplexity was gone, and they worshipped Nanda and Lord Krishna with great respect. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that in this verse, the word honored Chu indicates that the residents of Vrindavan honored Nanda and Krishna with such offerings as fragrances, garlands, and garments brought from their homes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur adds that the residents of Vrindavan honored Nanda and Krishna with loving offerings of jewels and gold coins. Apparently, Lord Krishna was playing in the forest when this conversation took place. So when he returned home, the residents of Vrindavan encouraged him by decorating him with beautiful yellow garments, necklaces, armlets, earrings, and crowns, and by shouting, all glories to the jewel of Vrindavan. So obviously, Krishna must have been thinking, whoa, what's this going on? Deve varshati yagya vipla varusha vrajasva varshanila sidat pala pashustriyatma sharanam drishtva nukampayut smayana uttapatyek karena shalamal balo lilo lindram yatha Vibrad Goshtam Apan Mahendra Mat Abhit Priyanna Indra Gavam. Indra became angry when his sacrifice was disrupted, and thus he caused rain and hail to fall on Gokul, accompanied by lightning and powerful winds, all of which brought great suffering to the cowherds, animals, and women there. When Lord Krishna, who was by nature always compassionate, saw the condition of those who had only him as a shelter, he smiled broadly and lifted Govardhan Hill with one hand, just as a small child picks up a mushroom to play with it. Holding up the hill, he protected the cowherd community. May he, Govinda, the lord of the cows and the destroyer of Indra's false pride, be pleased with us. Perfect. The word Indra means lord or king. Thus, in this verse, Krishna is pointedly called Indro Gavam, the lord of the cows. In fact, he is a real Indra, the real ruler of everyone, and the demigods are merely his servants, representing his supreme will. It is apparent from this and the previous verses in this chapter that Lord Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill made quite an impression on the simple cowherd men of Vrindavan, and they repeatedly remembered this feat. Certainly, anyone who soberly and objectively considers the activities of young Krishna will surrender to him and become his eternal devotee in loving devotion service. That is a rational conclusion one should come to after reading this chapter. So thus ends the purpose to 26th chapter of 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Wonderful Krishna. So just to add to some points on Krishna's Govardhan lifting pastime, that Krishna lifted Govardhan and he called all the Brajvasis to come under the Giriraji, and with their calves, with everything there, they can be protected. So Tamal Krish Maharaj, one of the disciples of Prabhupada, he compared Prabhupada's ISKCON to Krishna lifting Govardhan. He said Prabhupada has created this ISKCON movement. So just like Krishna lifted Govardhan, Prabhupada is lifting ISKCON, or he created ISKCON, and he's not only asking Brajvasis, he's asking people from all over the world to come and take shelter of ISKCON. And Prabhupada's guarantee is he will protect everybody who has taken shelter of ISKCON. So all we have to do is just stay under the shelter of ISKCON, of the shelter of Prabhupada, and we'll be protected. That's all. No Maya. Indra is sending Maya, and Maya is sending so much of rain, of all kinds of disturbance and all kinds of enticements to us. We'll be protected if we just stay under and follow the instructions given by Prabhupada. And just like it is mentioned in Govardhan Leela that even the animals who ran on the Govardhan or the grass on the Govardhan, even they could not be damaged by Indra's rains. So that could be compared to not just the devotee, not the devotees who take full shelter of Prabhupada, even the well-wishers of Prabhupada's movement. Because Prabhupada is so kind and grateful to everybody who helps this movement that he even helps those well-wishers also. So later or slowly they become surrendered and they become devotees and they take shelter of ISKCON. So all we have to do, just stay sheltered, surrendered to Prabhupada. And just like when there was rain and so much of wind and lightning by Indra, nobody tried to peek outside over what's happening because they were so attracted by Krishna. But sometimes we try to peek outside. What is outside ISKCON, and then we get enamored by Maya. So we just remain protected inside Prabhupada's shelter, remain attracted to Prabhupada's books, the teachings, instructions of Prabhupada, and follow them. And that's it. And Prabhupada himself has guaranteed, I'll take you back. Don't worry, I'll take you back to the spiritual world. So this Govardhan Leela should remind us, Prabhupada, how he is protecting, how he is motivating, inspiring everybody to remain faithful to devotion service. And it's his guarantee, he will take us back. So we don't have to have any doubts, any worries, any confusions, anything. So I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.